Rivka-Zakov. December 20th, 2010. Dimensional theory. Recently, I discovered a man named Alex Collier on the internet. Alex had many things to say, many of which made complete sense to me, and so much more that I have wrestled with since hearing. However, one thing that drew my interest most was his theory of the multi-level densities of matter, life and what have you. As a child I spent a lot of time thinking, and I suppose daydreaming. I used to make stories up, adventures, sciences, heroes and villains. Everything you could imagine. One idea I played with was dimensions. To this day, I remember the details of my own theory, and so much of it seems to comply with Collier's density theory. I thought I might share them, and see what thoughts are to be had. I will warn you, I am not a scientist, a researcher, or a genius of any kind, as will be quite evident by my failure to properly articulate my ideas, or to consider the ramifications they might imply. I am simply a man that has spent more time thinking than paying attention. And this is just one of the things I have considered. Also important to remember, when these ideas first occurred to me, I was 15. These are my ideas as they were then, and I will add my own current thoughts thereafter. The first dimension, to live at the first dimension is to be. To be made of matter. This does not require consciousness. My thoughts today, this would pertain to everything. Rocks, grass, bugs, humans, anything that is. The second dimension, to live, to be sustained, to feed. This does not require consciousness, also implies movement in a singular plane. My thoughts today, plants, animals, unicellular organisms, anything that can be classified as living, and a few things that are not. To be honest, I have no idea whether I would put diseases, viruses here because, as I understand it, some of these things are and are not classified as living organisms. This does not require one to be self or externally aware. Movement on a singular plane refers to movement back and forth, right and left. Literally, in 2D. In a way, I still think this might have some truth. The third dimension, to be aware, to desire, to create, to move at a secondary plane. My thoughts today, this is where we, along with the rest of the world's animals, reside today. There is much of the two levels beneath that meet one or even two of the things mentioned, but I believe that this is a level at which one must meet all fields of requirement. A secondary plane refers to the ability to leave a set position, or a fixed place. I know that doesn't make much sense, but if you think of the word continuum and try to keep time out of your mind, and think of 3D, then you might get the picture. As I said, I am not a very articulate individual. The fourth dimension, to understand, does not imply a movement at a tertiary plane. My thoughts today, I know that this is very vague, and at first it might seem that we exist here, but I must maintain that we most certainly do not. There is much about life, about the nature of existence, about creation, about everything that we cannot answer. Example, why does the wind blow? Or an even better question, what is our purpose? These are things we cannot answer, or even more truthfully, come to a consensus about. This is because no matter what the theory, be it scientific, religious or otherwise, we cannot 100%, undeniably prove anything. We can come infinitesimally close. There is always an anomaly that we cannot foresee. This is because we do not yet understand. It is possible that some have come close to reaching this level. Religious prophets, revolutionary thinkers, even some of those labeled as the insane, these may be people that scratched at a surface we have yet to stand upon. And their conceptualizations of their words and thoughts are what they are because we frame everything around us through our own eyes, or ideas, or what we want to see. Perhaps what some of these individuals were trying to say was completely misconstrued in an effort to answer a question that we had panicked over for millennia: what happens to us when we die? The fifth dimension, To live free of the constraint of time, movement at the tertiary plane is accessible here. My thoughts today. This idea came to me when I thought about time travel. Time travel, or time, is the tertiary plane. If space is the final frontier, the way we move through it is at the secondary plane, up down, left right on and off of ground, on the z-axis, whatever. Time is an entirely different frontier, and the way one moves through this is at the tertiary plane. The problem with this is our conceptualization of time. We see time as a continuum. There is a lot of science out there to prove it, support it, and I do not have the capacities to understand or rebuke these things. This conceptualization of time makes it impossible to travel, apart from its slow and unstoppable march forward. How can I say this? If we wanted to time travel, we would need to forsake our understanding of time for a moment, somehow prove that time is not a continuum, and then move. When we reach our destination in time, we need to change our minds again to stop moving through time in order to remain fixed in one place of time. This is not how it works. You can't suddenly leap in and out of dimensions. I don't think it works that way. To live at the fifth dimension is to be free of the concept of time. Instead of looking at a line, two arrows at each end to indicate that it goes onward, look at a black cube, and put arrows at every one of the tiniest particles on the cube, to indicate that it goes onward. This might be closer to the true form of time. Alex might claim that the fifth dimension is much higher on the density scale than where it is in mine. Looking and listening to what he says, I would agree. As I said, this was simply a look at an idea I had when I was 15, and a few thoughts helping to clarify what I meant at the time. If you enjoyed this, let me know, and I'll share with you my thoughts on what the fifth dimension implies for the idea of the universe, and the possible existence of what I call the multiverse.